here on Season 4 this morning. I'm Annette Kirkland, and I'm pleased to announce I have a couple of wonderful guests with me this morning. I have Dr. Haley Dozier. She's a computer scientist with the ERDC Information Technology Lab, otherwise known as ITL. And I also have with me Jacquelyn Henderson. She's with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers headquarters, and she's a senior construction engineer. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to be talking about From Sandbox to Solutions, ERDC's AI journey. And so AI is such a hot topic right now. I mean, it's like, could it be any hotter?
It really is.
So tell me about yourselves, your background, and your roles at ERDC and USACE headquarters.
Awesome. Yes, I am Haley Dozier. I'm a computer scientist at the Information Technology Laboratory, or ITL, as you just said. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Absolutely.
So even though my title is computer scientist, my background is actually in mathematics. My undergraduate and master's degree are both in mathematics, and my PhD is in computational science with an emphasis in mathematics. So everything that I approach in AI is more from that kind of math standpoint. I was an intern at ITL in 2018 when I was getting my PhD, and then I came on full-time in 2019. And honestly, I've just been having a blast, like playing in the AI sandbox ever since.
So this is a perfect title.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. I was in graduate school, I was more of a partial differential equations, very applied math kind of person. And then as an intern, it was something that they needed someone from a math perspective to come in. And so it just happened that it was like right time, right place. And so I jumped into it and was like, this is the coolest. I wish I had known about this before. And I've loved it ever since. And even though I've only worked here for just a couple years, I've done everything in AI from looking at like AI for soil classification to predictive maintenance for like helicopters and tanks, or mission engineering, or we actually looked at COVID vaccination center placement, like AI to figure out where to put or optimal places for vaccines, where you're balancing, travel distances within counties, but also like equity and, keeping all of that in mind. So it's been kind of just looking at a lot of different application areas over the years, but it's been so exciting.
So growing up, were you always in numbers?
Numbers nerd.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking.
Yes. My parents are engineers. My sister's an engineer. I was like, that's nerdy. No. Black sheep. I'm going to be a mathematician. But no, we were always a numbers family. Yeah.
It seems to flow like that with families. That's kind of interesting. So Jackie, tell us about yourself.
Sure. So as you said, I am a senior construction engineer right now working at our headquarters construction branch for the U.S. Army Corps. That's a fabulous job where I get to be involved in helping train our teammates in construction. Previous to that, I was a project engineer and a construction manager, so actually helping to make the built environment projects a reality in the field. And so I'm really excited to just bring kind of the business line needs to ERDC and then have that collaboration where we're really solving problems that help our field staff using AI.
Fantastic. And then just, again, it flows right in line with the theme for this season, which is the collaborative impact. So again, thank you so much for being on the show. And we're just going to dive into Jackie, could you start by sharing a little more information about the AI tool for the Construction Management Administration and what sparked the collaboration between USACE Construction Management and ERDC ITL?
Absolutely. So from my time working in the field, I had a good understanding of the frustration that some of our teammates are feeling, where we've got multiple places to search for information, our publications page, emails, various SharePoint sites. And I also know the importance of providing our stakeholders and contractors a consistent experience, whether they're, in the Vicksburg district or in a district in another division. So to kind of get at those issues, we wanted to create a single location for enterprise construction management processes. And when we compiled all the information to create that knowledge base, we had about, more than 1,000 documents to wade through. And because construction management is responsible for so many different kinds of processes, like safety, quality verification, contract administration, we needed a really efficient way to synthesize all of that information. So luckily, through our innovation efforts in construction management, we had an existing relationship with the ERDC IT lab, and we were able to quickly work with them to address the challenge that we were having with all of these documents using a large language model. And so that tool outputs process articles that then our human subject matter experts can review and expand on. And so the creation of our enterprise process articles has been significantly streamlined by the use of that large language model.
Okay, that pretty much talked about the spark, right? Do you have anything to add to that, Haley?
I mean, it was a great answer.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there was a couple. I think there were some things within ITL that kind of sparked our interest in partnering with USACE. It was, it's this excitement in AI sometimes ebbs and flows, and I think it just so happened that there was also this, time when people were very excited about AI and excited about partnering. And so I think that really led to, the collaboration as well.
Okay, great. Well, if you're just tuning in, I am speaking with Dr. Jacquelyn Dozier. She's a computer scientist with the ERDC Information Technology Lab, otherwise known as ITL. And I'm also speaking with Jacquelyn Henderson. She's a USACE headquarters senior construction engineer. So what were some of the bumps in the road when you were developing the AI tool with LLMs for construction management, and how did your team tackle those challenges?
So actually, first, I want to go ahead and define what LLMs are, just in case people don't know.
Awesome.
So LLMs, large language models, usually people think ChatGPT. ChatGPT uses large language models. But that's probably a good thing to think about. But it's basically this language model that can understand human text or human speech or just human language. And it's a model that's trained by something called machine learning. So it's machine learning is your backbone of AI. So you train this model using machine learning to understand human language and how it's put together and what it means and the semantics of it. And so it's something that you can kind of feed in documents or sentences or anything like that, and it can understand it and actually give responses to.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So what were some of the bumps in the road, though?
Yes. So thank you. I think I know some generic ones, and then Jackie can, talk about some of the ones for construction management in particular. Mm-hmm. But with large language models, one of the biggest bumps, just if you're trying to apply that to any area, is data quality and data availability. A lot of the times, people want to build a large language model and they want it to know something specific, but if you don't have the data for that, if you don't have the documentation, you can't do it. AI isn't something magical. It is a mathematical process.
Everybody else thinks it's magical, by the way. I'm just saying I think it's magical.
Yeah. It can. I mean, it's again mathematicians, so everything in math to me is magic, but in the sense of wonder, but no, it's a math problem. So it's you have to have the data to base that off of, and that data has to be of a certain quality. It's a lot of people talk about something called garbage in, garbage out when it comes to AI or large language models. Yeah, which basically just means if your data is nonsensical, you're gonna have a nonsensical model. And so that is something that is usually a bump in the road. Luckily, construction management and a lot of our USACE partners actually, they've cared about data quality for years. That's been something that they've really cared about for years and years. So going into a partnership with them is actually really great because we both care about the same thing when it comes to data. Another bump in the road, just kind of in general, is model interpretability and explainability. So it's something where there are these math problems, AI is these big math problem that's very, very large, and it's hard to crack down what exactly the models are doing and how it's interpreting things and basically what is right and what is wrong. So when you're dealing with large language models, or some of those image generation models. I'm sure someone's, went into ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, they use and typed in something and then got like a nonsensical response. Or I think the popular one right now is how many R's are in strawberry, and it gives you the wrong answer. And
what?
And there's these things called like, hallucinations that LLMs can do, where basically if you don't have the correct data to train it on, like if the data isn't there, it makes something up. And so, that's sometimes a bump in the road, because you need to make sure that if we're dealing with this for a real world application, it can't be making something up. You need it to be robust. We want to be able to trust our AI. So being able to dig down into that is very important. It's often very time consuming and kind of a bump. Another one is evaluation and validation. That's usually kind of a bump in the road. If there are some times where, people that we work with, they're like, okay, you're the AI experts, create this AI solution. But yes, I am an expert on the numbers and the models and all of that, but I'm not a domain expert.
Right.
Like Jackie is the expert in construction, right? Like she knows. I can type in a question and it can give me an answer, and I'm like, yes, that is a sentence, and it is grammatically correct, but do I know if the answer is correct? No. Like, so, often there's a big bump with, actually, we do need this collaboration, those domain experts. And then I wouldn't call this maybe a bump, but like kind of a thing that we are always concerned about when we're dealing with any type of AI or data is compliance and cybersecurity and regulatory guidance, right? Like making sure that every step of the way we are keeping in compliance, keeping our models safe on the correct systems. And if we're feeding in data that now makes it to where you have to elevate its classification, that we're doing that appropriately. Yeah.
10-4. Okay. Jackie, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so to Haley's point, I think it was pretty time consuming just to go through multiple iterations of verifying the output we were getting from the LLM and making sure it was all valid and that we were containing the information that we were that was contained in the output was really from our body of knowledge and not from a general training of the LLM. So we had to do some dialing in of how creative the responses were allowed to be. And that really helped with getting only our content being used and making sure that the responses were really good. The one thing I will say that really helped us is each of the responses generated come with a little number at the end that identify exactly where in our documents the answer was generated. So it's very easy for a subject matter expert to go in, look at, okay, this is tagged with a number 3. I'm not sure about this response. I can go look at that reference and verify, yes, that information is actually contained in this document. So that was very useful for us. I will say there are still some topics where we find that the large language model is not our most efficient approach to generating content. There are some very nuanced quality verification topics. Like there's so many different things within the electrical realm, for example, that the AI tool is not super great at providing very specific content within that quality verification topic. But that's been few and far between.
Right. So Haley, how did the success of this tool change the way you approach AI projects at ERDC? And did it inspire the idea of using hackathons for developing similar tools? There's that key word that we're fixing to dive into.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it was, so I think there was a lot of different, develop like AI tools that we had developed and kind of like taken lessons learned from and everything. But I think this was like a very exciting one that like it was very successful. And I think it's a very good example of our collaboration. Like Jackie and her team were very involved with the ITL team in creating this and kind of diving down on those areas that it's good and bad and everything like that. And so it was something that, her team was excited about and we were excited about. And when someone in ITL gets excited, like we're all very friendly. We all kind of tell each other. So everyone was getting very excited about this collaboration. And I think that we're like, okay, what is it from this that's working? Like, why is this person so happy? I mean, we're all very happy, but like, why, we're also,
celebrating.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're computer scientists. Usually, we're very introverted, but it was just,
My
something.
son is a computer scientist. I totally understand.
Like, okay, what's going on? What's this excitement? Like, and so yeah, that collaboration bit I think was really huge. And then there were also kind of some pieces of like, they were also able to very quickly learn this new tool because this AI tool is based on one of our cloud provider solutions, so it's working with cloud and like in a GovCloud sense, and so it was being able to like not just develop the solution, but learn a new tool, work with someone, and develop something cool that people can immediately use. It was just something kind of new, and so that kind of inspired us to like really think about it and kind of create this process of like hackathons to approach our new problems.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Jackie, do you have anything to add?
No, I would just say, I mean, the whole collaboration piece of the hackathon is as Haley said, the exciting part. Just getting to work with people who have expertise in an area that we're able to leverage to solve problems is absolutely outstanding.
Fantastic. So now that we have brought up the subject, can you tell us what exactly is a hackathon and who uses them and why?
Yes. So hackathon, it's a portmanteau between like hacking and like a marathon. And just by the way, hacking, we don't necessarily like in a hackathon, we're not, trying to like break into some like computer security system or anything. It's not like that type of hacking. It's more referring to a very clever like group of people that are putting together a solution very quickly. So that's kind of what hackathons are based on, just like group of people getting together quickly, finding a solution. So hackathons are used, I mean, really everywhere. They've been used in government, industry, tech companies use them all the time. I've been to like conferences and workshops where part of it is like at the end, maybe you're part of a hackathon, or at the beginning, maybe you're part of a hackathon, and some business or group or nonprofit or something comes in with a real world problem, and you're in these groups for maybe like 2 days to try to work through the problem. And at the end of it, your goal is to have what we like to call a minimum viable product, but it's some type of very, I wouldn't say immature solution, but kind of like very early solution to that problem. Right. So that's kind of the goal at the end, to have something to test or some kind of start to solving a problem that comes up. Yep.
How are the hackathons you're organizing at ERDC different from others, and what makes them unique?
Yes. So I think that our hackathons are unique in a couple different ways. One of them is that they're a bit longer. Instead of like 24 to 48 hours, you're more looking at 2 week-long sprints. So you usually have like a week on, week off, week on. That kind of fits within work schedules, because you have to like work-life balance and everything. You can't just sequester everyone in a room for a week. But yeah, so we usually look at that week on, week off, so it's a little bit longer. We also look at more complex problems that might have some maybe different intricacies to them, or some different questions that might come up. And we also make sure to invite people in from outside. So again, that collaboration piece of it. We invite not only like our domain business experts like Jackie, but we also invite like industry partners. So one of the people that we like to partner with is like, Microsoft, but we also partner with Amazon, Google, all of the kind of bigger tech cloud providers. So we like to bring everyone in, and we look at it not only as like getting to the solution. So a hackathon, your goal is that like minimum viable product, but we don't want to only get to the solution. We're also looking at it as this like training expertise, or this training or mentoring even, where we can bring in some of our junior employees that maybe have just started in AI or are interested or have never done anything in cloud before. So we can bring them in, and they can work with people that have more experience, have solved problems. They can start talking to people like our domain experts and starting to get an understanding of maybe the questions they would ask and how you would solve that problem. And so that it's not just that we have a solution, but it's that we have people that in the future can also, do that for other people. So it's something that we're really trying to like use to expand and train our workforce as well.
Okay, sounds great. So how has this AI tool made a difference in USACE construction management? Have you seen any noticeable improvements, and what excites you the most about AI in the construction world?
So I think we've seen a huge difference in using this tool versus how we were creating content before we had access to it. So the time savings alone has been, immense. And that's freed our staff to create more content, collaborate more with our field teams. And I think that is helping to lessen frustration of our staff who, are executing some record workload in the field. And I also think that this pilot shows the wide applicability of AI for USACE generally. So I think because of this success, we're seeing a lot of interest across our business lines. How can I leverage AI? Where does this make sense? And so I think that's really exciting for our teams.
Have you tracked the possible time that it's saved?
We have some general information on that. I think it's hard to say because the topics are so varied, as I mentioned before.
Right.
So there are some topics that we already had really great content on previously, and those articles get generated very quickly. Whereas some of the articles require collaborating with multiple different communities of practice and different SMEs. And so the content takes much longer, even though we have this tool. So it's a little bit hard to quantify. But because, we identify over 400 construction management processes that we want to build out, and we're about a fourth of the way there right now.
Wow.
And that's largely due to this tool.
Fantastic. That's good news. So how does working on AI tools like this one affect collaboration between ERDC and USACE teams, and has it brought people together in new ways?
Yeah, so it's working on this, I think, has improved, or projects like this has really improved collaboration, in my mind, between ERDC and the USACE, or especially ITL and the USACE, just because it's something that I think, one, it brings us together in a new way to collaboratively work on a problem and not just send someone off to do work on a problem and then they come back, and it's more of actually doing something together and coming together, which I think is more exciting. It's definitely more exciting for the workforce because it's something that you kind of feel ownership in, and you feel like you're a part of when you're building that solution together. So I feel like that's very, very strong. And then it's this topic. I've always found it very exciting.
You're very passionate. Yes. I can tell.
I love it. I love my job. But it's something where I think it's starting to get more people excited about it, being like, okay, I can see how this would impact my everyday, workload, or, this task that I really hate. Maybe there is a person that they're like, I love my job, but this part is terrible and I hate it so much. But, and sometimes right. AI, those automation kind of pieces is very good for helping with those. And so I feel like it's kind of strengthened our partnership because it's hey, let's make this better. I think also and working together collaborative like this has really made it so that AI is maybe less intimidating for some people, because we were talking before, that magic AI wand, right. Where it's, we've been talking about it for years, but there's always this question when you're not in the field of okay, yes, I've heard about it, but what can it do? And what is it good at and what is it bad at and all of that. And I think working together, not only do we on the computer science and the mathematics side learn more about the domains, but the domain experts can kind of learn more about AI and where the boundaries are on that. And is this a good AI problem or a bad AI problem? And
Right.
you know, so I think it makes it less intimidating. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, brought us together in a lot of ways.
Jackie?
Yeah, I would absolutely echo that. I think what Haley said about building this hybrid skill set of computer science and built environment delivery is really the result of the collaborations that we've had so far. I think it's really going to be critical that we have all of this expertise together so that we can leverage the right tools to solve the right problems, because there are so many different things that fall within the AI realm, and not every tool is appropriate for a given problem. So getting those people together is really critical, and I'm really excited for the future.
Fantastic. It's mind blowing to me how things have evolved over the years. And what's scary to me is, let's say 10 years from now, how things are going to be different and more magical too, and making things to where it's, I say easier, but more possible faster, you might say. So to me, it's just mind blowing how technology is just making things better. And things like this can happen. So,
but I think something kind of, again, going back to the collaboration, it's and like what Jackie said, with like the right tool for the right problem. I feel like partnering like this allows us to, like, it is sometimes when people talk about the future of AI and like the art of the possible and all of that kind of stuff, it they're like, oh no, robots taking over, or they think it's a little scary, or like AI takes my job kind of thing. But I do feel like creating this partnership and like collaborating, we are creating the right tools for the right problem and being very responsible with how we're applying them and how we're thinking about them and how we're approaching them, and just working together on this, because Jackie has certain perspectives on guidelines and policies, and we have those, and putting that together actually, I think, sometimes strengthens the guidelines and kind of the borders of what we should be doing with AI, like what is ethical, what is responsible.
Because it's always about that.
Yeah,
it's very important.
Exactly.
It's very important. So what's some of the other AI research happening at ERDC right now, and how does it fit into the bigger picture of what the organization is aiming to achieve?
How long do we have? No.
We've got a little bit longer.
It's we could be sitting here for the rest of the week talking about all the different things we're doing with AI. It's a lot in a lot of different application areas. I will say we are actively engaged in pursuing a lot of different research or AI research projects that contribute to basically enhancing USACE and in defense. Enhancing USACE or defense in a lot of different areas. I can kind of talk about some of those topics. Like, I know predictive maintenance is pretty big, so that's something where maybe if you're looking at a building or something, you can maybe predict when you need to maintain it, or you need to do some type of maintenance event. It's easier if I talk about it in a car. It's instead of your light coming on, maybe your light is about to come on, or maybe like something in your wheel is about to break, something, beforehand, that, so you can go and get it fixed beforehand, so you don't end up with like some expensive bill afterwards, because your car broke and now all of these 6 things broke because this one thing broke. So it's kind of that using AI to look into the future to be able to kind of predict
Proactive.
Yes, exactly. I know my problem would be like, oh, I know this is going to go wrong, but then actually doing something about it, that would be my issue.
Which is our lives. Yeah. We are mostly reactive.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, that sounds like next week Haley's problem. There's also, we're doing a lot with natural language processing. So like these, LLMs or large language models, that's part of natural language processing. So it's a lot of taking documents and everything and being able to maybe even just summarize documents, or creating tools where you can essentially like chat with like a knowledge base of documents. So imagine, for your job, it's very similar to kind of what they're doing for construction management, but for your job, maybe like contingency operations, they have a lot of after action reviews. Like, what did we do after this hurricane and how did it impact and what are our lessons learned? Like, instead of, oh, we know that there's going to be a hurricane on the Gulf Coast, what do we do? Let's go and like try to dig up a PDF from 6 years ago on someone's computer. You can create this like natural language processing pipeline where you can just like type in a question, it can go to documents and maybe just like tell you the lessons learned. Like, hey, we know that in the past, like, from these documents in the past, these things have happened when you've had hurricanes on the coast. These were things that you did to respond that were good. These are things that you did to respond that like could have been better, that kind of stuff. We're also doing a lot with like computer vision. So looking at basically how computers see the world or see images. So being able to like recognize things in pictures, or be able to, look at maybe even satellite imagery and be able to like assess damage in an area after, again, a hurricane. We just had a hurricane, so that's really on my mind.
Right, I totally get it.
But yeah, so, look at an area, what's the damage, what do we need to assess, that kind of stuff. So computer vision. We're doing all kinds of different stuff with machine learning. So I know a big one right now is mission engineering. So how do we use actually machine learning, like an AI developed for video games? How do we do that to actually have an AI have a course of action? So maybe that's a little bit more military, but in a battlefield, something happens. How do we respond? Looking at AI that can maybe come up with courses of actions and kind of assess which ones are optimal. I told you all day. We're looking at like autonomous systems. So that's actually where robotics and everything come in. We have a whole group of people that are looking at, they have this project called DamBot, which I love the name of that. But
we've had Dr. Nechayev on the show in the first season. Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, then call back, go listen to that episode. It's very cool. But it's something where, again, you have like a robot that can sense the world, that can see the world, and that can take those inputs. And then actually you can use machine learning tasks for it to be able to figure out where to go when you can't tell it. Maybe like it's in under a bunch of water and you can't actually, communicate with it. And so it can make its own decisions within, the realm of what you've coded it to do, to be able to solve a task and like all of these different very, very, very cool areas. I can keep talking if you would like me to, but yeah, it's all day. So there's also this very cool one with soil classification, and actually ERDC has a patent on this technology, this AI technology now, because it was created like completely in-house by ERDC, which I find very exciting. But basically, one of the things that it can do is you can like draw a region of soil in the world, and then find out where similar regions of soil are, which that doesn't, like when I tell people about it, they're like, yeah, okay, dirt, sure. Sounds important, but, sorry, that was sarcasm. I don't know if that came across, but it's extremely important because especially if you think about like traction and vehicle traction or something, it was something that there was a oil well fire, and I believe it was the Assam region of India. I know it was in India. There was this fire, and it's something where we could actually draw like a region, like a circle around that area, find similar regions of soil within the U.S. and say, okay, well, we know this type of tire with this type of traction works well here, but you can't use this type of equipment because it's going to get stuck. And the last thing you want to do is get stuck, like in, when there's a fire burning around you. So to be able to combat this fire, we need these types of vehicles to be able to go in and be able to, assist. So it was something that was, I feel like is incredibly impactful. And again, that was something that entire like AI pipeline was something that we created that was new, that's patented. Again, I love that one. And then there are ones, even looking at fast running engineering modeling. So, one of the things that we do a lot at ERDC is we use our high performance computers because some of the problems to model our world are so incredibly complex and large and just take, even with our, football field of computers, take months, weeks, days, whatever, to assess because those models are so complex. So one of the things that we can actually do is use machine learning modeling to be able to create faster models. So instead of using this very, very complex high fidelity model, we can figure out where to use this faster running engineering model that's based off of machine learning to replace it. So when we're doing some of our water modeling or even some of our like helicopter modeling, we can replace pieces of it with machine learning and speed that up so we can actually make decisions faster about our different equipment or how maybe this water is going to move, where flooding is going to happen, different things like that.
And sometimes when time is limited, it's so much easier and better use of that time is to have everything summarized like that. That's very exciting.
Because it's, if there's a bunch of rain or something, or if we think there's going to be flooding on the Mississippi, you want to know before the flooding, right?
Right.
Like, you don't want to,
exactly.
I can get you an answer on this modeling problem in 6 months.
Exactly. How do you strike a balance between pushing the boundaries with AI innovation and making sure everything stays, there's that word, secure?
It is a challenge. It's definitely a challenge, but one I feel like we meet very well. It's, I guess, like the kind of first thing that we're doing is making sure that every system that we use and are putting data on, or using models on, or anything, is completely cleared for any data that even might be used. So it's something that we rely on. DISA and I guess clearing people for different impact levels and different levels of security. So they've cleared some of our cloud partners, but we also have our own equipment that we can put data on. But we make sure always that is the level of security for the level of data. And even if we're moving models between systems or something, we're making sure that that system is cleared for that model as well. Okay. So it's always like taking a step back, looking at it, doing that assessment. And then making sure, again, like our AI, like when we're creating it, we're thinking about things like classification by compilation, which for anyone that hasn't taken like the CUI training, it's basically, when you put things together and they become classified, we have to make sure like, okay, if we have two pieces of data and you're putting that into a model, great, your model's classified. So we have to, we're always keeping an eye on that, making sure it's secure, making sure it's living on the correct systems, and always keeping an eye on that. We're also making sure that we're, educating the workforce of like what are appropriate systems. Like, no, you can't do that here. You can do that here.
Right.
So I think education is a big piece of cybersecurity. Making sure that people know and understand the boundaries of kind of your different systems and your different requirements.
Okay. Jackie?
This is where working with ITL really helped. They were very clear with us about what the system possibilities were, and then we talked them through, this is the kind of information that we're looking to process. We made a collaborative decision about what would be best for that information. And then we also, our team acted pretty conservatively because this was a pilot for USACE, and we, wanted to make sure that it was successful and that we were doing the right thing by this information. So we reviewed all of our documents and made sure that they complied with the system requirements that we were going to host them on.
Perfect. So we are going to close out today with this last question, Jackie, and I'll start with you. So what's a key takeaway that you'd like our listeners to have from this conversation?
So I think that, like I said earlier, the future is really exciting, and it's exciting because, just listening to Haley's answer to what ERDC is working on right now, there are so many opportunities that I can see already in some of the other projects that she described. And so I think just continuing the strong partnership between our USACE business lines and the research arm of ERDC is just going to mean that we have great tools at our disposal in the future, and are really working towards solutions for our nation.
Plus, we get to do radio shows like this.
Yes.
Okay. So, Haley?
Yeah, it's this radio show. This is the exciting piece, right?
Right.
It's I think that like the biggest takeaway that I would like people to know is that, again, ERDC and USACE, I feel like that partnership and that collaboration is going to be so exciting and honestly just impactful for not only like when we look at defense, but also just like our nation. USACE is always looking at improving infrastructure and doing different construction and contingency operations, so disaster response and everything. And USACE does all of these incredibly impactful things, and I feel like this collaboration just strengthens what they can already do, and what we can do, and it just. I don't know. I'm just very excited for the future. Just excited.
You know what? I think the listeners can tell that too.
Yeah.